Hey, Al, what do you think of JBL?
Hey, JBL, you suck!
This is the Rugby Odds, where an unlikely pundit panel of a wordsmith, a WWE legend, a rugby star, and a supermodel scour the globe, seeking best bets and bad behavior. Are you not entertained?
Yes, I'll take it. I kind of deserve it this week, and I'll take what I can get. So thank you. But if you look in the sponsor opportunity green room, you'll see my colleagues, WWE wrestling god John Bradshaw, Layfield turned rugby advocate, and King Gift Egbelu. That's right, a god and a king. And they're prepping for today's show, because if you look at the Your Company name here, slate, you'll see it is a full and exciting show, including the return of George Hook calling in from Dublin. So let's get to it. Guys, 26-16. Again, that's a pretty goddamn good record. But, John, you get the wooden spoon despite the fact that you had a good record. You know why? Because you left the NOLA DC game in DC without even saying hello or goodbye to me. So you get the wooden spoon.
I couldn't risk seeing you, so I wasn't going to come, like, say it's Matt here. There might be a chance that I would have to talk to you, so I left.
Maybe next time, I guess.
Sam has to protect his peace. He's got to protect his peace.
King Egbelu came to the New York game when you were doing commentary there, before you sank the team, and he didn't speak to you either.
He sat under the box. He sat literally 5 feet away from me.
Basically, Old Glory will probably be bankrupt by next year and won't return since you did the commentary.
That is harsh. And that's toying with a lot of people that lost their occupations and their ways of life. And here you are mocking it. I mean, that is just, you are an atrocious individual.
You're the one that did it. You're Jonah on the way to Nineveh. You're the one that created the entire storm.
All right, let's talk about the DC game. You were there. Decent atmosphere, right?
The atmosphere was good. Like they got a good thing up there at the Maryland Soccerplex. And you did the what do you call it? The PA system. Yeah. You were very good. Actually, it was actually entertaining. Besides the rugby, I mean, I think MLR is the worst as far as how they present the product. They don't have any live event coordinator. Live event's terrible. The TV production is terrible. But the game was, I thought, the game was good. I'm not talking about the product on the field, but it was good because the atmosphere was good because you were on the PA system.
Wow,
people were entertained. They had some music playing, and you actually did a good job. I hope you go back to the PA system there and get off this show.
Wow. I almost feel badly about trading out your VIP ticket for the general admission ticket and putting that.
I did have a general admission ticket. I really did. There was sat in the sun. I did.
Were you wearing your mom jeans by yourself?
I was wearing my mom's jeans with my boot. Oh, of course, that's by myself. I had one ticket.
Did you think of calling me or calling Paul Sheehy or Chris Dunleavy and saying,
again, if I called you, you might answer, then I'd have to talk to you.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Gift, let's start with you. Observation on the weekend.
I think the one that started catching my interest is just all the rosters that started coming out for the Olympics since we're coming into Olympic month. Shout out to Dallas for keeping it close with Houston, though. That is truly becoming a better and better rivalry every single time. Houston is showing their ass a little bit at the end of the season.
Showing their what?
They need to keep showing their ass. They're showing their ass at the end of this season, because, look, you had a clear shot. You have been dominant all year. You're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And you're pulling your foot off the gas pedal, even if you don't think it's mentally pulling it off. So, and they're getting to play Dallas again. So it's not even like a little bit of exposure. They're literally going to play Dallas again when the playoffs begin. So
third time this season. So that's, that they're going to know each other. But Heineke Meyer was on MLR Weekly last week, and he was being truthful. He was confounded about how to handle this. They're only losing like one or two players to the Eagles. So that's not a big deal, but keeping the guys from getting rusty, keeping them game tested is a challenge. And he didn't want to not play guys because they had a 2-week period off. So he couldn't juggle who was injured or whatnot. He had to get everybody in the game. So, you're going to see that Dallas Houston rivalry, that Texas Derby thing. That's a good thing we got going now, John, in your home state.
It is a good thing we got going. The 2 weeks off is terrible. They have a 2-week period before the playoffs. This is horrible.
You are now the commissioner of MLR.
I'm not incompetent enough.
All right, so let's take a quick commercial break and bring.
Wait a minute. I'm not going to be here the next segment. And the reason is because you want me to make some stupid excuse that makes no sense whatsoever. I'm going to get a massage or do something like that, or my internet's gone out or something. Truth is, we shoot this out of order. You shot George earlier in the day. I wasn't here because I had things to do because I have a life. So I won't be here for the next segment, but I'll be here for the next segment after that because we're taping this out of order so you can edit it so you don't look like Joe Biden speaking English.
We'll be right back with George Hook and without John Bradshaw Layfield after this.
Need a great price on a new vehicle? Sheehy makes it easy. Easy Price shows you our lowest prices on the Mid-Atlantic's largest selection. Find your best price online or at any of our 31 dealerships.
It's easy at Sheehy. Sheehy.com.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
Hey, Matt, thanks for the parking. JBL sucks.
Perfect. And we are back, and once again, we have the pleasure of welcoming in
Let's
Mr.
go.
George Hook.
Let's go. Not
George
just
Hook,
here.
everybody.
Alive and well. All
Yes.
right. Alive and well.
Yeah. Wow. George, it's good to see you. We missed you last week.
Yes, the evils of gin, Sauvignon Blanc, mixed together, apparently, are not to be recommended.
Hey, we got to make up proxies.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, George. Obviously, we just ended out all the major tournaments, the major competitions that matter most. And, seeing the Stormers, Leinsters, Munsters all fall whenever they should absolutely have been able to dominate. Bulls as well.
Yep.
Yeah, Bulls as well. What is it that you feel is the most disappointing component of these teams losing these campaigns in their test matches?
Well, I'm actually going to surprise you, I think, with my answer, right? Just about a week or so ago, I'm in my local supermarket shopping for bottles of Sauvignon Blanc, and who comes up behind me but James Ryan of the Leinster and Ireland seconder. And surprisingly, he says, "Hello, George," because usually the players don't talk to me. So we chatted over the Sauvignon Blanc shelf, and he made an absolutely crucial point. He said he was very tired, and he said he had played, by the time the test matches in South Africa are over, he will have played for 13 months.
Oof.
Now, I think that is actually more important than any of the other things we're going to talk about.
But a couple of things, George. How much is he getting paid to do that? And wouldn't you line up around the block to do that instead?
That's a very complicated question. We cannot expect these young men to play 13 months of rugby, which is now at its most physical, for 13 months without a break. We can't do it.
Do you feel like these games are now being undervalued, hence they're playing too many? Or do you think that the value has dropped precipitously over the years and the need to have to play more at the risk of burning out these players is needed to, maybe rise this back up again?
Yeah, I think, Gift, the reason you are one of the great television analysts is because you have this incredible ability to ask a question that actually doesn't demand an answer because
like Jesus,
you are so correct. And what we are now looking at is this multiplicity of tournaments. Gift's question is yes, yes, yes. Are the answers to his question. He is so right. Why is Gift asking this question and World Rugby is not asking this question?
That's the perfect time to end the show, but we still got a lot of time. Maybe we'll move that around in the edit, but I got to be the bad guy here. He's not playing all those games in 13 months. We've been whining about players getting time off on this show for the show's existence, particularly from Leinster, which, as you pointed out, probably cost them going down to Pretoria by not having any of those guys on the A side having played in Pretoria. There's got to be some kind of happy medium. Yeah, we're asking these guys to play too much rugby in a physically demanding sport, but they're getting paid well. George, they get a little bit more than you ever got to play rugby, aren't they?
You cannot compare the game that I played in, coached in, was managing in, with what is happening now. I can't even comprehend it. It's not possible to comprehend what's going on at the moment. All rugby lacks is the gorgeous blondes from the Dallas cheerleaders. Otherwise, it has just become a professional exercise for television. I'm glad Gifford's here, because he's the only person who appreciates me. You certainly don't.
Oh, that is just unfair. That's a shot.
He sees it, Matt. I appreciate you, George.
I'm going to appreciate you more, George, when you answer this question. South Africa is favored by 5.5 points in Durban over Ireland.
That's a comfortable 5.5.
Did you hear that sound? That's the protesters outside your house right now. Do you care about Ireland versus South Africa? Are you going to watch?
Did I hear you correct? Did you say, do I care about Ireland? All right? I mean, I cannot believe the absolute, words fail me.
Wait a second here. You have said 1,000 times on this program that, hey, you're not watching any rugby anymore. You're done with rugby. And then you go out and you watch almost every rugby game on the planet.
I mean, that's like the guy, he doesn't like cocaine and he's slipping it up his nose at lunchtime. I cannot but watch this. How are we going to do? I don't think we're going to do very well. We're playing South Africa on their home ground. When South Africa is in a very good place. And I think we are very tired. Funny enough, I was playing golf during the week. Let me tell you this, right? I played golf during the week, and I'm changing in the locker room. And the guy is talking about Irish number 10s, i.e. fly halves. And he can't go past Johnny Sexton. So then I remind him of every fly half since 1948. Okay? We are going to South Africa without, in my view, a consistent number 10.
What about Crowley?
Hold on. Stop trying to fake your Cork accents.
What about Crowley?
He is not at the level. Do you want me to list them all? 1948, do you?
No, I know you can do it. We don't have time for that. Gift.
Do you feel that Andy Farrell has what it takes to be able to get this Irish team kind of back into a form where maybe they can complete out?
Farrell has given up Ireland to spend a year or so working for the Lions. I'm totally opposed to that.
Yeah.
He's come to Ireland, for crying out loud. His wages are paid by Ireland, for crying out loud. His responsibility is to Ireland, for crying out loud. I don't know who's going to take over. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm not a happy camper.
All right, and last question. What about taking the Glasgow Warriors, the winners of the URC, Toulouse, the winners of the top 14, and the Blues, the winners of the Super Rugby, and putting them in some kind of round-robin competition to get one unified champion?
Only Americans could devise that kind of horse manure system. But if in the search for the everlasting world of profit, which motivates everything in America, in the everlasting search for profit, it wouldn't be a contest. Toulouse are in hockey, the other two teams. Hockey them.
Well, on that upbeat note, George, let's swing over here to the United States because you talk about doom. And the last time the Eagles played in Washington, D.C., they coughed up over 100 points to the All Blacks at FedEx Stadium. This time we're going to Audi Stadium in 2 weeks. You're now the head coach of Team USA. Well, I know you love the hypotheticals, and I know you've been on the coaching staff before, so you've got the experience. You're now going to play Romania in Chicago after your players assemble for maybe 3 training sessions after they left their MLR games this weekend. And then you've got to face Scotland with Glasgow coming off that great win, and they're feeling great. So what's your plan of attack as the head coach of Team USA so you don't cough up another 100 points or so in front of an American audience back in Washington, D.C.?
Well, I dismissed the Romanian game on the basis that not since Ceausescu was deposed have Romania been a serious contender. Scotland are a different ball of wax. They're going to demolish the US Eagles. 100 points? I don't know. There's a word in the Gaelic called graw, and graw in the Gaelic means love. And I still have an enormous graw for the American game.
Scotland also has the added incentive of having lost here the last time they played in 2018 to Team USA in Houston. So you know that's going to be locker room fodder too. So if they come within 50 points, I'll consider that a success. On that note, we're out of time. I want to thank Mr. George Hook for coming on.
Thank you, George. Thank you,
Hook,
George's
ladies
immune
and gentlemen.
system.
We'll be right back. You need your cleats? You need them tomorrow? If you order today by 3 p.m. New York time or noon LA time, they can have them to you tomorrow. Young, old, male, female, if you're playing on turf, if you're playing on grass, if you're playing in the rain, you're playing in the heat, they've got you covered. RugbyNow.com. Go there now. And we're back, and thanks again to George Hook. And John, it's great to see you again. Wow, I can't believe you're back.
Matt, we just finished our segment of taping because we taped this out of order. So you know I'm back because literally 2 seconds ago, we were in the first segment, which now is like 15 minutes ago because of your edit.
You don't know anything about sports entertainment. That's your problem. You don't know anything about sports entertainment. You'll learn. You just stay close. Let's talk some rugby in the meantime. So we've got New Zealand minus 10.5 versus England. We've got Australia minus 12.5 versus Wales. That's an interesting game. South Africa, of course, minus 5.5 in Durban versus Ireland. Argentina minus 5.5 versus France. John, George said South Africa will cover that 5.5 versus Ireland. What do you think about that match? And we'll go out of order.
I think if you call it a championship match, it's guaranteed that Ireland will choke.
Facts, though.
So
I think South Africa's a better team. I agree with George. South Africa's a better team. They have better athleticism. Ireland's a well-disciplined team. They're a good team. But I think South Africa playing at home, that means something to them. You watch in the URC, when these South African teams, when they want to play, those guys are really good. They have to be motivated, though. They play a lot of games, and I think this game will mean something to them, playing as somebody as strong as Ireland in their home country.
Gift.
I do think South Africa's coming in with a level of excitement this year, especially because you're bringing in a few new guys. You obviously have established a good period of dominance. I want to believe this Irish team is going to come hard, but I think South Africa definitely has us. They are at home. They are excited. This is what they live for.
And it's what George says all the time. It's the best rugby country in the world. I mean, not even close. I mean, those guys look at about the wins they've had at World Cups. They're the best rugby country in the world.
All right, then there's another biggie. There's New Zealand hosting England. New Zealand 10.5 point favorites. Two teams that, we don't really know a lot about. And this is a curious thing to see how they go forward. Super Rugby just ended. The Blues won. You've got the Premiership. We know the results of that. They've been off a couple of 3 weeks now. What do you think of the New Zealand-England game, John?
It's which England team do you get? At the first of the Six Nations, they weren't very good. They looked pretty bad for being England. And then by the end of it, they were playing much better. And they played with a lot of pride at certain points. But your main guys there are getting a little old, and they're still good. But I don't know how many years they have left in them. I think New Zealand, to me, playing at home, if you have two unknowns, take the powerhouse at home.
This is a lot more confusing than it would have been in the past. I normally would have been like, New Zealand's got this easy. Ain't no worries. But you're talking about a New Zealand team that just got a new captain, just got a new head coach. They are dealing with a whole bunch of catastrophe in terms of their union right now. There's a lot of distraction on the horizon. And then you have an England team that is young. They just came off a nice little win against Japan, so they got a little revenge back at Eddie Jones. But, Jamie George is captaining again. Does that bring an aggressive England team? I don't know. Every time I've doubted New Zealand when they brought new people in, it's almost like they're like, wait, hold up. We are still the natural 100 years of powerhouse here, and then mollywop people like it's nothing. So my heart wants to give it to England, but I'm probably still going to give it to New Zealand to be able to cover the spread on this.
Hey, King, it's kind of like USA though in soccer. People beat us to death. And because it's the USA. South Africa is their biggest rival. Those are the two best teams in the world right now. Maybe throw in Ireland in there and France, right below them. But those are the two best. But when they got a chance to beat England, are you kidding me?
ABE, anybody but England.
People love around the world to beat England. It's like the USA going out anywhere except for basketball, which they shouldn't lose. The boys out there. But any other team you put out there, they love to beat America and beat them badly. So this is a huge game to be played in New Zealand.
And we've got the USA in Chicago hosting Romania. John, what do you think of this one?
I don't care. And I don't think I won't care because I'm not going to support USA Rugby, period.
But what?
I looked at their website a couple of weeks ago. Not one African-American player on the entire team. The lack of diversity there is absolutely appalling. It is like 1925 baseball for African-Americans in rugby. It's become a white private club sport with some Pacific Islanders sprinkled in there. If you look at the NFL, 53% of the players plus are African-American. So you should have 50% of your team, of your players be African-American if you truly have a diverse sport. I've worked with rugby all over the world with low income. I put my money into it. You want to grow the game, you're not going to grow the game by having a team that doesn't have an African-American player on the website. I think it's disappointing. I think it's shameful. And I was invited to the game. I'm not going. I'm not going to go support something that's not diverse like that. It's not diversity like DEI. It's diversity as far as you wanted to represent America. USA Rugby does not represent America. Look at what Memphis Intercity Rugby does. They had six All-Americans, a bunch of state champions. They got rugby in the schools. They got 100% of their kids graduating. That's growing the game. Look at what happened in Bermuda. Look what's happened all over the world in inner cities. USA Rugby is not doing that. It's complete different rugby, and it's a rugby that I want no part of.
Okay, Gift. You want to pick this game?
I mean, I'm not going to lie. Going off of that, I can't, I think there's an ethical requirement for me to step back on that one because honestly, to John's point, most of the players end up in sevens, and I'm still advocating that one day we get the crossover of 7 players playing on 15s, and so.
All right, well,
The
show is called the Rugby Odds, so I'm going to pick the game, and I'm going to say the USA is going to win by 15 points, and we're going to skip some of the other stuff that's at the back half of the show to leave this in for John to make sure that it's aired.
I don't care if you do or not. Like I think it's the rugby that I've been a part of, and I love rugby, and I support rugby. I've supported all over the world. I've been in the slums of Mumbai and Delhi. I've helped build school and rugby facilities in East Africa. I spent my own money on this. Went down there myself. Put big bricks together myself, and I helped with Memphis Intercity Rugby. I've been in Harlem with Play Rugby USA. I support rugby. I don't support what USA Rugby is doing because it's not diverse. And I think you see our standings globally precipitously decline because of that lack of diversity. This has nothing to do with the players that are playing right now. They're no different than Babe Ruth or Lou Gehrig, who happen to play during a segregation area. Not that it's segregation, but they're not growing the game enough to have African-American players. So nothing against the players. It's not them. It's USA Rugby themselves and the old boys of rugby in America that's making it a predominantly white private school sport with Pacific Islanders sprinkled in.
All right. Let's take a break and come back with the rest of the stuff that we're going to do in the show as I figure it out. We'll be right back.
From New York City comes America's longest running and most popular rugby show. The biggest names in Major League Rugby, MLR highlights, and big match previews. Rugby Wrap-Up presents MLR Weekly, made in New York City.
Hey, JBL, I was just joking with you. It's okay. Matt gave me your number, but hey, you're a cool guy. Always, JBL.
And we're back, and we're going to take a look at the NRL real fast before we get to the Currie Cup, our picks of the week, and get out of here. John, who do you like in the NRL?
The Manly Sea Eagles.
Gift.
I'm going to go with the Broncos over the Panthers. Revenge match for the championship game, or a second attempted revenge match against them. I think the Broncos probably finally get this one against the Panthers, even though their season has been basically pretty dismal.
That's a losing pick. Loser pick. I'm
no
taking
malarkey happening here. There's no malarkey happening.
I'm taking the Roosters to decimate the Dragons. How about that Currie Cup, guys? John, who do you like in the Currie Cup?
The Lions still lose to the Sharks.
Gift.
I got a lot of Nigerians who have been on this team, and a lot of people have contacted me. I expect the Cheetahs to beat the Griffins on this one.
You just took my pick. All right, I'm going to go with the Pumas. The Pumas to win big. And on that note, we're at our favorite time of the show, our picks of the week. John Layfield, take it away with your pick of the week.
The emergence of Italian rugby. They are coming into this world. They are going to move. They're moving up in the rankings. They're doing everything right. Give me Italy to win this game in Samoa in a very good rugby game.
Gift.
You know what's low-key going to be one of the best games? Georgia versus Fiji. Like, these are two teams that have like a really actually deep rugby history, but as individual 15s team, just haven't really taken it over the top. But I think Fiji's going to take it over Georgia just off of pure athleticism. But man, that's going to be a hard-hitting, just smash mouth classic rugby. I hope it rains just to make it that much more classic.
I'm going off the rails. I'm going to go with Wales getting 12.5 down under in Australia. It makes no sense to make this pick, but that's when Wales always kind of plays tough. They might not win, but I think 12.5 is too many points. And on that note,
play tough. Win.
They play tough. They play the opposition tough.
They always play the opposition. They don't play themselves.
On that note, I want to thank WWE Hall of Famer turned rugby advocate John Bradshaw Layfield, King Gift Egbelu, George Hook, the Irish rugby legend, and thank you for tuning in. Please check out our other programs, including MLR Weekly. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Tell your friends about us, and please sign up for our American Red Cross blood donor team.